Every story has a beginning, and ours begins right here, with Earth. Imagine a time when this planet was nothing but fire and stone. No oceans, no air, only chaos. But from that destruction, life was born. Slowly, tiny creatures evolved, and one day, one of them stood up. It lit a fire, crafted tools, and for the very first time, looked at the sky, maybe asking itself, "Who am I?" That was the moment when life touched consciousness. From there began our journey of ideas, of civilizations, of empires. In this documentary, make sure to watch till the end. If you enjoy documentaries like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We put hours of hard work and research into creating stories like these for you. The story of Earth begins billions of years ago. Back then, this planet was nothing but a burning ball of fire. Oceans of lava covered its surface. The sky was filled with ash and smoke, and storms were powerful enough to tear mountains apart. There was no life, no plants, only fire and chaos. But with time, everything started to change. The Earth began to cool down. The first clouds formed in the sky, and rain began to fall. Not for days or weeks, but for thousands of years without stopping. That endless rain washed away the ash and gave birth to something new: the oceans. In those deep oceans, tiny particles of matter touched each other, and with the help of simple chemical reactions, something miraculous happened. Life began. It wasn't complex or aware of itself. It was just a single tiny cell, the first living thing that could copy itself. And from that small beginning, the story of evolution started. Over millions of years, these single-celled forms began to join together to make more complex life. Some learned to use sunlight for energy. This process created oxygen and changed Earth's air forever. The blue oceans and green land started to shape the planet we know today. Time kept moving. From small creatures in the sea came fish, insects, and huge reptiles. Then, plants grew on land. And for the first time, life stepped out of the ocean and onto the ground. About 230 million years ago, the age of the dinosaurs began. They ruled the Earth, giants that could shake the ground when they moved, fast, powerful, and unstoppable. But no power lasts forever. One day, a huge asteroid fell from the sky and hit the Earth with unimaginable force. The planet burned again, and the dinosaurs disappeared forever. Yet, life found a way. After the fire ended and the dust settled, the Earth was quiet again. From the shadows came small, simple creatures, the mammals, tiny survivors who had hidden in the dark. They were weak, but they were clever. And from them, a new story began. The story of a creature that would not only survive, but would learn to think, create, and change the world. This was the real beginning, the dawn of humanity. The stage is set 60 million years ago. The age of the dinosaurs is over. Earth is now dominated by small, fast, and intelligent creatures, the early mammals. Some of these life forms sought refuge high in the forest canopy. This critical shift marked the beginning of primate evolution. The primates' greatest advantage was their unique physical features: flexible hands, gripping fingers, and eyes that faced forward. These traits gave them great balance, clear depth perception, and a huge advantage for survival. Fast forward to about 25 million years ago. Deep in the dense forests of Africa, the ape lineage, hominoids, emerged. This group included the large apes, gorillas, chimpanzees, and orangutans. And it was from one of these very branches that the path to humanity eventually split. Then, a massive change took place. Around 10 million years ago, the jungles of East Africa began to dry up. The forests shrank, and vast savannas, open grasslands, spread across the land. Many tree-dwelling species died, but a select few dared to come down and walk on the ground. Fossils discovered in Kenya, like proconsul, roughly 18 million years old, confirm that ape-like creatures first evolved exclusively in Africa. Time continued its powerful journey. Around 7 million years ago, a new species surfaced, Sahelanthropus chadensis. This organism is considered one of the oldest human-like creatures. Evidence from its skull suggests a slight tilt toward walking upright, a clear signal that evolution was leaving the trees for the ground. This led to Australopithecus afarensis, emerging about 3.2 million years ago. The famous fossil belonging to this species, Lucy, discovered in Ethiopia in 1974, remains crucial evidence for our evolution. Lucy's bones show that she could walk upright, freeing her hands to carry things while she walked. This ability to walk on two legs was a critical energy saver, and it freed their hands to carry tools, throw objects, or create something new. This was the profound evolutionary advantage that set the hominins apart from every other creature. The timeline jumps to roughly 2.5 million years ago. In Tanzania, Africa, deep within the rift valley known as the Olduvai Gorge, archaeologists uncovered simple stone tools. The Earth offered up a new name for the evolutionary ledger, Homo habilis. The name means the handyman. This creature was neither fully human nor entirely ape, but his hands held the first spark of intelligence. He was the first to intentionally chip stones to create rudimentary tools for hunting and defense. There was forethought in his eyes, and that planning was the seed of our future. About 1.5 million years ago, Homo habilis was replaced by an even more advanced species, Homo erectus. Taller, stronger, and significantly more intelligent than his predecessors, Homo erectus achieved an invention that fundamentally changed the story of the entire planet. Fire. The ability to control fire offered warmth, protection from predators, and allowed them to cook food. Cooked food was easier to digest, providing the critical energy needed to fuel a larger, more complex brain. This was the moment the thinking species began its true ascent. The emergence of us time passed. Millions of generations came and went. Then, roughly 300,000 years ago, deep in the heart of Africa, a final new species emerged, Homo sapiens. They were our direct ancestors, the creatures who could think, imagine, and create. Homo sapiens inherited the tools and the fire, but they possessed a unique capacity: symbolic thought. There was a time when this species looked at lightning in the sky and was filled with fear. Now, that same energy was lighting up the landscape of his imagination. He was ready to shape the world, not just survive in it. A silent revolution took place roughly 1.2 million years ago. In South Africa, the Wonderwork Cave. Archaeologists found remnants of ash and burned bone, proving a pivotal moment. Humanity had successfully controlled fire for the first time. The evidence confirms that Homo erectus, the upright man, had become the master of the flame. Fire, a force he once feared, now became his greatest power. Where he once hid from predators in the darkness, the flame now kept the hunters at bay. The evidence is clear. For the first time, he had conquered the threat of the night. Fire, the engine of evolution. But fire was more than just a shield. It was directly linked to the engine of evolution. Science confirms that raw meat could now be cooked. Cooked food was easier to digest, providing the body with significantly more energy. That surplus energy went directly to nourish the brain, causing the cerebral capacity to grow. He was no longer just thinking to survive. He was thinking to strategize for a better life. Fire and tools. These two gifts would redefine human destiny. Roughly 2.5 million years ago, in East Africa's Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania, the first evidence was unearthed. Simple stone implements, chipped to create sharp edges. These were crafted by the hands of Homo habilis. Homo erectus refined these tools, transforming them into weapons. They fashioned spears using wood and stone, learning to control their hunt. With every strike, their fear diminished, and their confidence grew. He was no longer the hunted of the jungle, but the apex predator. But could Homo sapiens, without claws, without teeth, and without great physical strength, truly survive? The early human was surrounded by apex predators, lions, leopards, giant buffalo, and snakes. Yet, he understood one critical truth. Victory is won not by strength, but by cooperation. The power of the social brain. Small, organized groups were formed, where every member had a defined role. One hunted, another maintained the fire, and another prepared the tool. Fossils of Homo sapiens found in Morocco and Ethiopia, dating back 300,000 years, confirm that at this early stage, they were already living in organized groups. This is the first definitive proof of the development of the human social brain. Working together, they faced the largest animals. This was no longer just hunting, it was the beginning of strategic warfare. They planned where to corner the animal, where to strike from concealment. The invention of strategy artifacts found in the Olorgesailie Basin, Kenya, dating back approximately 300,000 years, include sharp spears and stone tools. These show that Homo sapiens manufactured tools with premeditation and design, not merely through trial and error. This was the birth of applied engineering. Slowly, they learned to read their environment. They began to memorize patterns. When did the animal come to drink? Which place was safe? Which night was the coldest? Memorization. This was the seed of advanced thought. In the Blombos Cave, South Africa, archaeologists unearthed 75,000-year-old stone fragments etched with geometric designs. This pivotal finding proves the human brain's capacity for pattern recognition and symbolic thinking. This was the moment when thought first became language. Gestures evolved into words, and words built culture. Man was no longer merely a creature wandering the jungles. He became a creature that planned, cooperated, and pushed past his own limitations. Around 60,000 years ago, this powerful new species, Homo sapiens, ventured out of Africa. Archaeological evidence shows they reached the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. On this journey, they encountered other human species, like the Neanderthals. In some places, there was conflict, in others, coexistence. But ultimately, only Homo sapiens survived. Why? Because they had mastered the ability to think, share, and adapt. The timeline shifts dramatically to approximately 70,000 years ago. At this point, Homo sapiens underwent a transformation that scientists call the cognitive revolution, a revolution of the mind. The human brain was no longer solely focused on survival. It began to focus on imagining the future. Man started to believe not only in the things he could see, but also in invisible ideas. In the Blombos Cave, South Africa, archaeologists discovered engraved ochre and stone fragments dating back 75,000 years. The patterns etched onto these pieces provide the first clear evidence of abstract thought. They show that humanity was learning to connect symbols with meaning. This was the moment when reality was no longer enough. We began to create meaning beyond the physical world. Homo sapiens' brain size, approximately 1,350 cubic centimeters, was already comparable to modern humans. But the difference was in the processing. The human mind now perceived time in 3 dimensions: past, present, and future. He wasn't just living, he was questioning his own existence. Slowly, this new capacity built the foundation for society. Shared beliefs, rituals, and complex emotions began to form within groups. Neuroscientists today refer to this critical development as theory of mind. the unique ability to understand and predict the feelings and intentions of others. This allowed humans to gossip, to cooperate in larger numbers, and to create complex social structures built not on genetics, but on shared stories. The cognitive revolution didn't just change what humans did, it changed what they believed. And in those shared beliefs lay the true power that would define our destiny. Once humanity had learned to survive, they asked a new, profound question: what are we living for now? It was roughly 12,000 years ago. The final ice age was drawing to a close, and the Earth's climate began to stabilize. Where vast ice sheets once dominated, lush green fields and flowing rivers now emerged. Man was no longer just a hunter, he had become a thinker and a planner. And in this changing world, he realized that settling in one place was far safer than constant wandering. The agricultural revolution. In the Fertile Crescent, the region covering modern-day Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, we find conclusive proof. Around 10,000 BCE, humanity began farming for the first time. Wheat and barley crops were sown. Wild animals were domesticated: dogs, goats, and sheep. This was the moment man first began to shape nature to suit his needs. Survival no longer relied on the uncertainty of the hunt or sheer luck, but on planning and labor. These new settled lives led to the first permanent settlements. Near Jerusalem, Jericho, a settlement dating back to roughly 9,000 BCE, is considered the first known city in human history. Excavations show mud brick houses, grain storage facilities, and communal walls. This is the earliest evidence of society and organization. Each person worked not just for themselves, but for the entire community. This was the very first structure of society. The invention of storytelling. Slowly, language evolved, communication improved, and knowledge began to pass down through generations. Evidence from Çatalhöyük in Turkey shows that by 7,500 BCE, people were painting images on their walls, scenes of hunters, families, and fire. This wasn't merely art, it was the start of storytelling. Stories became the critical medium through which the community could share its values, fears, and dreams. Archaeological findings confirm that along the rivers of Mesopotamia, around 3,500 BCE, the first great civilization, Sumer, was born. Here, writing, cuneiform script, was invented. Humanity began to think not just to live or to remember, but to record. Once humanity learned to think, they asked the next question: can we control the world to serve our will? This was the question that transitioned civilization into power and transformed humanity into rulers. Around 60,000 years ago, our ancestors, Homo sapiens, ventured out of Africa. They embarked on a great journey, crossing the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. But where did they finally settle? They settled by the rivers. They learned that rivers provided more than just water. They were the foundation of life. Rivers offered fertile, easily farmed land and provided the simplest routes for trade. And it was here, on the banks of these great rivers, that the world's first great empires would be born: Mesopotamia. The cradle of civilization, the term Mesopotamia means, in Greek, the land between two rivers. This land lay between the Tigris and Euphrates, modern-day Iraq and Syria. Around 3,500 BCE, the world's first urban civilization, Sumer, emerged here. The people of Sumer built homes from mud bricks, dug irrigation canals to water their fields, and constructed vast storage facilities for grain. Archaeologists discovered cuneiform tablets in the city of Uruk, recording detailed accounts of taxes and trade. This marked the crucial first step toward organized administration and governance. Egypt, the gift of the Nile. In Egypt, the Nile River brought life. Every year, it flooded, and the receding waters left behind a layer of rich, dark silt that fertilized the fields. The people of Egypt understood this rhythm, and they built their entire lives and society around the river's dependable cycle. This stability was crucial for centralized power, eventually leading to the rule of the mighty pharaohs. The Indus Valley, ahead of its time. Further east, along the Indus and Ghaggar-Hakra rivers, a sophisticated civilization flourished around 2600 BCE. This civilization was remarkably ahead of its time. Evidence shows organized cities, with perfectly aligned streets laid out at 90-degree angles, and advanced drainage and sanitation systems, an engineering feat that modern cities still strive to replicate.
Harappan homes were built with baked bricks, featuring inner courtyards, private bathrooms, and sophisticated drainage systems connected to public sewers.
China, the Yellow River Dynasty. In the Eastern world, along the Yellow River, Huang, He, the first great dynasties arose around 2000 BCE, beginning with the Xia and then the Shang. The mastery of bronze, the development of iron, and the strategic use of chariots all made China technologically superior.